For all your life, you've had a dream, something that you've been dying to do. Maybe you've started the process, maybe you haven't. But is that your calling? Well, that's our question today. Hi, everyone. This is Paul with TrinityDigitalMedia.com, and I'd love for you to join the conversation. So head on over to TrinityDigitalMedia.com/contact. There you can leave your name, number, a brief message. That really sounds like an answering machine, doesn't it? It's not exactly what I mean. What I mean is if you have questions, comments, or what have you, go over there and leave them there, or you'll find all my contact information, like the email address, paul@trinitydigitalmedia.com, my phone number, 1-877-763-3246, which is also 1-877-POD-ECHO, and you can leave me a message or just leave a message below this comment. Any of those things are fine. Also, head over to Twitter and follow me or message me, what have you, Paul Allen Cliff, PAULALANCLIF, and that would be very appreciated. One other thing I want to say, and then we'll get started, is this show is generously provided for by viewers like you. Thank you. Head over to patreon.com/Paul Allen Cliff. That's patreon.com/PAULALANCLIF. You can support the show for as little as $1 a month. I had one guy that was doing $5 a month. What have you. Doesn't matter. Every little bit helps. So let's talk about callings and dreams. I wrote a little note here to myself. Let me check my notes. Some dreams are callings. Some callings are dreams. But not all dreams are callings, and not all callings are dreams. It's also the case that some dreams, so what I mean by that is you can have a dream to do something that you're really not supposed to do. Growing up, there was a youth leader in my life at church, and he really enjoyed mechanical work. He enjoyed being a mechanic and such. And he always thought that he was supposed to be a mechanic for a race team. So something like you see in the Indianapolis 500, that kind of thing. But he didn't end up doing that. He ended up being a missionary in a country where it's very hard to be a missionary. So the question is, his idea of being a mechanic, was that a dream or was that a calling? I think I'd say that it was a dream. His actual calling was to be a missionary. And by the way, before you get this all messed up, it's not the case that he went kicking and screaming to this country in Africa. In fact, quite the opposite. He loved it. He felt like he was made to do it. It just was exactly his calling, as opposed to his idea of what his calling was supposed to be, which really wasn't it at all. Now, does he occasionally get to work on cars? Does he get to use this talent? Yeah, he does. But it's really not the same thing. Another friend of mine, Becca. Becca is an incredible singer. Like, not opera singer, like incredible, powerful voice, pop singer type. And she's very beautiful. She's everything that you would think that the recording industry would want. And she was right on the edge of starting a music career, but that just fell apart for reasons she doesn't even really fully get. But she was talking about this past weekend in church what that meant to her, why she got to explore the dream of being a professional musician only to not do it. And as it turns out, she wasn't called to it. It was just an idea she had. Because she was good at it, she assumed that that should be what she should want to do. But I don't think that's the case at all. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean that it's your calling. No, a calling is something totally different. A calling is something that you are equipped for. You might not start out as good at it, but you're equipped for it. A calling is something that you grow into, and a calling is something that God wants you to do. Now, if you've been watching these videos, perhaps you've noticed that I've used the words dream and calling interchangeably in the past, and I don't want to. I really want to make a difference between what you're supposed to do and what you kind of just want to do. Now, you can want to do what you're supposed to do. One thing that has irritated me in the past is there's kind of this theory that if you want to do it, it can't be good for you. That's not always the case. I want to do this. I think it's good for me. And I think that it helps people. In fact, I got an email just this morning from a guy in California who was put in charge of the video at his church, and he really didn't know what to do. Because he reached out to me, I was able to help him. That is indicative of the fact that this is my calling. I'm helping people. And I think that that's one of the things that you can look for in a calling, is a calling manifests in helping others. Number two, quite the opposite, a calling may not always bring you fame, fortune, glory. It might not elevate you personally. In fact, it might be something that's kind of in the background, kind of something that you never get recognized for. But really, that's okay. If the point is not that you are to be the world's leader in such and such, then I think that that's fine. I think this was something that I struggled with several years ago, is I had this dream, and was it going to stay a dream, or would I allow it to be my calling? And I wrestled with the idea, and I eventually gave up on the idea of being one of the world's leading authorities on church technology. Because that was my focus. My focus wasn't helping as many people as possible. My focus was building my personal empire, and I don't want to do that anymore. Now, I do want to make enough money to support my family. I do want to be able to expand this to help others, but that is more of a characteristic of a calling. If that means that I happen to be famous within certain circumstances, that's fine, but it's not the main goal of what I want. In fact, if I could do what I'm called to do and no one knows who I am, that's fine. I haven't figured out how to do it, but it's still not the main goal of what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to be someone that everyone thinks of. I just want to help a lot of people. And I think that that is yet another dream, yet another indication of calling, rather, is that you really prefer to help people than to help yourself. So I want you to think through whether you have a dream or a calling. By the way, I don't think that if you have a calling, you should be falsely modest about it. Well, let me talk about that real quick. False modesty really is a hide for insecurity. So is cockiness. You know, that you've run across people that they're just difficult to be around because they're just so arrogant. Well, arrogance is really what happens when you're insecure, as is false modesty. They're just two sides of the same coin, and we don't want to go either way. We don't want to be insecure and have that manifest in arrogance, or insecurity and have that manifest in false humility, or even what you think is real humility, but it actually isn't. It's actually this kind of way where you have a lower opinion of yourself than you actually should have. So I think once you're actually engaged in your calling, there should be a kind of confidence that goes with that. My pastor calls it swag, where you don't have to question all the time if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Now you check to make sure you haven't gotten off into the weeds, but you know your life is on the right trajectory. And if that's the case, if your life is on the right trajectory, then that's what you should be doing. You shouldn't always say, oh, well, I'm helping out a lot of people. I'm not seeking my own gain. I really feel like God has called me to this. Am I doing the right thing? If all those are true, then yeah, you're probably doing the right thing. So if you're not out for number one, if you're helping a lot of people, and if you really feel like God has called you to it, I think those are three indications that you should be confident in your calling. You should go out and shout it to the rooftops, because there are people that need to know what you are able to teach them. There are people that are looking for your help. They just don't know where to find it yet. And so that's what marketing and publicity and all boil down to. Once you're in the correct frame of mind of being others-centered and following what God wants for your life, marketing and publicity are all about helping others by letting them know about what you provide. They're not about tooting your own horn or saying how great you are. No, furthest thing from the truth. They're about helping others. So, are you helping others? Is this who you are? Is it who you're made to be? That's a great question. Also a great question. Did you start with your dream and try and turn it into your calling? Or did you start with your calling and turn it into your dream? Let me kind of clarify that. If my friend, Alan is his name, if Alan had started with his dream of being a mechanic and tried to turn that into his calling, basically saying, God bless this dream that I have, instead of saying, God, whatever your calling for my life is, I want that more than I want my dream, then that's wrong. That's in the weeds. If Becca had said, I want to be a professional musician, I want to be a singer, I want to do all these great things, God, please bless my dream, that is also a mistake. So that's something else that you need to be aware of, is you need to be aware of, did you start with a dream that you created or that someone spoke into you that really isn't from God, and then you ask God to make it your calling? Hey God, throw a little God pixie dust on this and make this right. Or did you say, I don't care. I don't care if this is my calling or not. What I want is I want what you say I should want. Because God doesn't have to make you like stuff. He happens to know you. He created you. He knows you very, very well. Better than anyone else knows. Have you ever had a friend who they seem to know exactly what you want? They know it before you know it. They give you something and you say, "How did you? I didn't even know this existed, and this is perfect for me." That's God. He knows what exists. He knows what's perfect for you. And that's the kind of thing that He wants you to embrace as the calling that He has created for your life. So, this week, I want you to do some work. I want you to stop and think, is what I'm thinking about, is it my calling or is it a dream? And a dream is less than a calling. I think a calling is something precious that shouldn't be squandered. But dreams come and go. Decide and ask which it is that you're pursuing. And if you have to change, you have to change. But that's worth doing. Because what you really want to do is the same thing that I'm doing. And that is going out and changing eternity. Until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford with TrinityDigitalMedia.com.